Hi all. I'm sometimes asked who my favourite player of all time is. If I was going to give just one answer, I think it would have to be Mikhail Tal. I bought his book a few months back, his Life in Games book, and it's just a very, very insightful and personable book to read. I recommend that to everyone. A lot of the King's Crusher radio shows centred on Mikhail Tal's achievements at various tournaments and Olympiads. I want today to have a look at how he carried his playing style right to the very end. His very last final game was actually a Blitz game. He was a great Blitz enthusiast, along with the likes of Spassky and Bronstein. This last Blitz game was against none other than Garry Kasparov. It was played in the Moscow Blitz tournament in Russia, 1992, the 28th of May 1992. So Mikhail Tal is widely regarded as a creative genius and the best attacking player of all time. And his play was known above all for improvisation and unpredictability. Every game, Wiki notes, was once said as inimitable and invaluable as a poem. He was often called Misha, a diminutive of Mikhail, and a magician from Riga. So let's have a look at this final game, which he carried his playing style in, and he actually left hospital, believe it or not, to play in this tournament. So 28th of May 1992, he left hospital to play, and he's playing against Kasparov. He kicked off with e4. Kasparov played the Sicilian defence, and we saw knight f3, d6, and instead of the usual d4, we see another popular move here, the second most popular according to my live book, bishop b5 check. Kasparov played knight d7, and now d4, knight gf6, white castled, a6 from Kasparov, bishop takes d7 check, knight takes d7. So white has a bit of a lead in development at the moment. Mikhail Tal has given up his light square bishop. Will that be significant? Knight c3, Kasparov plays e6, and now bishop g5. Here the most common move is what was played, queen c7. Believe it or not. On bishop e7, this is known to be slightly better for white after taking, and taking here, this is slightly better for white. This continuation is quite pleasant. For example, so the most usual move is actually queen c7, because black's idea is that bishop e7 doesn't have to be played until this bishop is kicked away. Rook e1, and now Kasparov plays c takes d4, and we see knight takes d4. Kasparov plays knight e5 now, so he's in no rush for bishop e7 at the moment. Now the move f4 is played, h6 kicking the bishop, bishop h4, and a surprising move in this position by Kasparov, slightly surprising, but positionally motivated. Black lashes out with g5, wanting to get some activity and a nice knight on e5. So after fg, which wasn't played actually, let's put on a bit here. This position, black is doing okay, just taking here, and bishop g7. This is apparently quite good for black. Nice play, nice knight on e5. But Mikhail Tal actually played a slightly stronger move here. F takes e5. From an engine point of view, it's technically stronger. After g takes, although it's a little bit frightening, this g file potentially, e takes, bishop takes, and now black looks at h2. But a very interesting move was played in this position, very true to Tal's style. Can you guess what white played if I give you 10 seconds starting from now? Okay, I mean, he could play the routine move, sort of king h1, just getting out the check, and maybe queen h5. This looks interesting, but this is even more interesting. Knight d5. He played knight d5, trying to get at black's king. It might be unsound, but it creates complexity and problems, and especially in a 5-minute time control, this is very, very dangerous now for black. Kasparov took this knight. Technically, this is the right thing to do. E takes, check, king f8. Now, the last recorded move of this game, queen f3. And here, in the great predecessor's book, Kasparov said that in the end, black beat off the dashing attack, retaining extra material, but he overstepped the time limit. So Tal managed to beat Kasparov in this Blitz game, and this was just the start of the game, but it's a complicated position here. For example, if black takes, king here, queen f4, might could maintain some complexity in this position, for example with queen c3, looking at this diagonal. So it can be quite tricky, this kind of thing, especially in Blitz. Probably best is rook g8 looking at white's king. But now, for example, knight e6, and again we've got some compensation, visible compensation for problems for black to practically solve. So it showed that Mikhail Tal had his playing style throughout his life and even towards the end. I suspect he might have been a little bit more positionally refined when he lost a return match to Mikhail Botvinnik in 1961. So he won the World Championship in 1960 against Mikhail Botvinnik. But anyway, nowadays, you know, he's still remembered with the Tal Memorial tournaments. And with computers, we're finding that maybe his play was unsound sometimes, but it requires very deep analysis often to disprove his intuitive sacrifices. So over the board, these problems were very, very difficult to solve, the problems that he created. And if you want to look at the World Championship matches, the 6th game of the first World Championship match against Botvinnik is typical for this idea of creating complications and huge problems for the opponent to solve, where Tal sacrificed a knight with little compensation but prevailed when he unsettled Botvinnik to find the correct refutation. So I hope you enjoyed this reminder of Mikhail Tal, and what a great player. And I think we can continue, to look on Tuesday nights in the King's Crusher radio show at some of the more interesting games of Mikhail Tal in detail. So I'd like to carry on Mikhail Tal on Tuesdays. Hope you enjoy this. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.